Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the RealNex webinar series. I'm Jeff Finn, joined today by Matthew Smith, and we are going to be talking about your pipeline is your lifeline and focusing in on the RealNex CRM and the project section to talk about what you can do and how you can take advantage of building your pipeline for business development and deal management, to create and attach timelines, to track and follow up on leads, as well as to get your work in process, your deal management pipeline for deal status, probability, target closing date, to make sure you're forecasting well and know what you've got to focus on, as well as to generate client reports and to make sure that your leads get recycled. So oftentimes we're finding clients doing 2 or 3 deals out of one by leveraging the lead pool after one buyer closes. 5 others that were interested in it could be followed up and taken advantage of for future business development. So Matt's going to walk us through a workflow. We're open to questions along the way, and we'll engage with them either as Matt is presenting or towards the end of the session. So Matt, I'll turn it over to you. And of course, we will be recording this and distributing it either tomorrow or after the long weekend. Hope you enjoy it and look forward to your comments.
Fantastic introduction, Jeff. And when I tell you their pipeline is your lifeline, it amazes me how many people do not have their pipeline in order, set up, or properly configured. So today we really want to focus on setting that pipeline up and creating that for business development as well as deal management. It's not just for when you have a listing, it's about that whole business development as you're pursuing that business. So when you navigate into the RealNex program, you'll notice there's going to be a little section up here, and that is going to be your projects tab. That's where your lifeline for projects pipeline is going to be. We call it projects because it's not just your pipeline, it is your lifeline inside of there. One of the things I like to do is I like to open up many tabs. So you see up here on the top, you may see I have a contacts tab, dashboard tab, another contacts tab, my projects and projects. So if you want to learn that trick, all you have to do is hover your mouse over any one of the icons. As soon as they turn dark, just right click and say open tab, open tab, open tab, and it's going to open up tabs. That's easier. There's no load time. It's going to help you navigate the program. Plus, if you're getting older like me and you forget about things, you remember, oh, I was doing this, and you remember that because there's a tab. So let's talk a little bit about projects. First thing, typically a lot of my projects are going to be assignments that I have. You're going to define what they are. So Edwin, you're going to define your projects. Now I have projects in there that are going to be for buyer rep, tenant rep, land, sales, acquisitions, development, capital markets. It can really be for anything that you want to have in there. Some of you might say, look, if it's a signed agreement, it becomes a project. If it's not a signed agreement, I don't have a project. Maybe you want to create a project just to manage all your buyers because you have a buyer pool, or maybe you want to create a project just for your listing pitches or your tenant pitches. That's perfectly okay. And if you want a little bit of guidance, you're welcome to email myself or anybody else on our team and say, hey, we need a little bit of guidance on how to define and set up your projects, because we want to make sure you set it up properly going forward. In here, you'll see my projects are all in a tile view. You also have a list view. Now, this list view is really important because I'm going to show you some fields within a project, and this is going to allow you to set up the view so you can see the information that is most important to you. Now, you might have multiple people on your team, and with that, you're able to go ahead and set up different views. So if you want to see listings by expiration, pipeline by broker, pipeline by stage, your recent won transactions, or anything else, you can filter and create custom views for that. Just like I created one here for the Massimo pipeline, for if anybody is a Massimo student and you have a Massimo coach, the Massimo pipeline can be dumped into our program via Excel, and it formats in the way that they have the information inside of their system. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to track the information that you want to track, and then sort by different types or statuses or expected close probability, commission, or all the above in different orders. So you're going to define what a project is, and that's really important before you get into doing projects, is define those projects.
Well, you might want to show that, Matt. Why don't you show the setup of your project types and how you can set the stages?
Yeah, so I'm getting into that right now. Jeff is getting too excited. So when I go here and I hit add new, a project is going to have a name to it. And typically that name is going to be an easy reference point. Maybe that project is going to be the same name as your property, or maybe it's going to be 50,000 square feet of Class A office. Whatever you want to reference that project, that's what your product name is. Client, your client is going to be who you're representing, right? Are you representing a buyer? Are you representing a seller? And then do you have a listing? If you're a tenant rep, you're not going to have a listing. So that's just going to be blank. So you can leave some of this information blank. But where Jeff is going at, and I love his enthusiasm, is this. You click type. What is default? If I get on your system, Barb, I'm looking at you. If I get on your system and I see everything in default, I am going to cry. That is not the way we want to manage our projects, because default doesn't help us. What does help us is for sale, for lease, buyer rep, tenant rep, opportunity, landlord rep, development, seller pursuits. These here are fully customizable, okay? And what triggers the status is the type. So when you put in here for sale, it then changes your statuses. Your statuses are tied to a type. Now a type is your steps of sales. We all have learned steps of sales since we were infants. We might have stage 1 through 10. We might have stage 2 through 5. We might have A through D. We might have things like offer pending, out for signature, due diligence negotiation, offer received in process. Now, these are also statuses or leads. So as we're thinking of this, Mr. Evans, you want to think about, maybe you have a lead that's touring. Maybe you have a lead that's a suspect or a prospect. Now, those two confuse me, so I don't use those, but you can decide to use whatever you want. So how do you do that? How would I go ahead and do what Matt is talking about? All you need to do is simply come over here to your settings at the top right, select system tables, go to project setup, and then here's where you can set up all your projects. Now we do have default, for sale, for lease, buyer rep, tenant rep, and opportunity. These are hard coded into the program. If you want to change any of the statuses, those are on the right hand side here. You can hit the trash can to delete it. You can hit the little pen with the paper to edit it. Just edit what you want, put in whatever name you want and set under contract. So again, you can choose those statuses. You can use ours. They're fantastic, right? But if you want to create your own, you simply say add project type, name the project type. Then you're going to have a coordinated status that is to that project, okay? So development in permitting, seller pursuits, initial meeting, working on valuation, presented valuation, valuation agreed upon, won the listing or lost the listing, landlord rep. All these are going to be project types and coordinating statuses. Again, if you need assistance, you can simply email me or anybody else on our team. Recommend you email your sales associate in one of the regions and say, hey, look, I'm setting up some projects. Can you give me a little guidance? Here's a project type and here are the statuses. What do you think? Please don't get too granular. You don't want to have 4,816 statuses. I've seen kind of people get a little too granular, but then you also don't want to make it where it's only 1 or 2 statuses. But this is going to really help you see where your deals are at, because when we create that project, we then can sort by status. So if I come in here to this list view, I can click just the top where I can click it again, and it's going to, hey, where are all my deals that are touring or space planning? And then if I wanted to narrow that down to for sale, now I can see all my deals that are off market. I no longer represent those deals, or maybe they're off market pocket listings. These ones are in due diligence and this one's offer pending. Maybe it's time for me to work on a little bit more business development because my pipeline's starting to dry up, or it's going to dry up. And we'll walk you through some of those right now. So let's get to adding a new project. We're going to say this is going to be RealNex 15,000 feet office. And the client in here is going to be Antonio. So I'm just going to type in Antonio. And once you type in the information, you'll start seeing a name come up. So where it's in there, we're going to say just Steve Brown. We always do Antonio. Now we're doing a tenant rep assignment. So he's looking for 15,000 square feet. I wish I had a survey here. Do you add a listing or do you not? No, we're not going to add a listing because this is a tenant assignment. So we're going to come down here to our type and we're going to say tenant rep, and then we're going to say potential property space. So in this case, I'm actually just going to come down here and we're going to say in process, because right now we're going to be looking for potential spaces. And then this is going to be an active deal. We need offices to be closer to Matt's house. Okay. Probability. I'm not going to put a probability in there right now because we're really not sure. So maybe just even 25%. Size is 15,000 square feet. The deal amount, we can put any dollar amount if we figure out what the average deal is going to be. And that's going to help us kind of figure out what our commissions would be if we want to track that. Again, it's up to you what you want to do. And I'm just going to put in here that we just opened this deal today. Any additional notes that are important? Matthew's looking for a reception area. He wants to make sure that he has 3 offices. He wants a view. He needs parking for 4 cars. Whatever those additional notes would be, type those in notes. And if you're on a Windows, just simply hit your Windows key and the letter H, and it will type in everything that you're saying so you don't have to bang on the keyboard like I do. You'll notice a couple things down here at the bottom, and I'll try to highlight those for you. You're going to notice one section in here, and this is Jeff's favorite thing, and I'll talk about that in a minute. You're going to see a timeline sequence. Now, these timeline sequences are fantastic. One of my good friends here, Mr. Evans, messaged me, and he said, hey, can you go over a couple things today? And one of the things we're going to talk about is timeline sequences and how they're going to help us manage our business. These timelines, which I'll go over in a little bit more detail, can help us keep track of all our activities on a deal. So if we have certain things that we do on every deal, or a tenant rep assignment, we do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and maybe it's just for ourselves, or maybe it's for people on our team, we can create a series of events called a timeline. We can assign it to anybody or multiple people on our team. So Jeff's on here, Tim's on here, and I'm on here. We can choose a start date. We can color code it. It synchronizes with our Outlook and Gmail. And we can tie it to one of our projects. So as those activities get completed, they turn into a marketing activity report. There's nothing wrong with giving an activity report to a tenant that you're representing to let them know what spaces you're trying to find and the activity that you're doing to find them a space and how you're being proactive and not just going up to RealNex Marketplace and searching available spaces like they could at home. You also see the ability to add them to a group. So if you want to create a group and add them to a group, you can do so. If you know me, I'm not a huge fan of groups. Simply come down in here and hit save. And now what it's going to do is create yourself a project. You have some other user fields in here. So if you want to predefine some additional fields, you always can. You have the opportunity to right click and add some additional fields. We always strongly recommend you work with one of us, Central, West, or Eastern, before you change any fields in the program. If you're not using any of these fields, do me a favor and hit that little arrow on the right, and then that information will be hidden. So deal amount, flat fee, percentage of commission. I think those things are kind of important. Expected close, date close, so forth. Obviously, we don't know what that's going to be. Maybe we know that normally it's going to take us 6 months to close a deal, so maybe we can put that in our pipeline. All this is going to help us start tracking what our commissions are going to be in the future, right? What kind of commissions are going to be in there. On the commissions tab in here, this is where we can go ahead and we can add commission. So if we had the deal amount, it would be in here. If we got a flat fee, it would be in here. Then we can put in the percentage of commission, and the probability is a weighted amount. As we add participants in here, we can put an outside broker, we can put an out split, and then we can see what our net commission would be. If we have a 50-50 split with a house, then we can put that in there. And then we can start running reports to see what our true commission would be. Obviously, we're not taking into account what you would pay for taxes, but this would see if you want to make $1 million gross, what would your net be after split, right? And that's where you can start seeing some of that. And that's where it can start really helping out with tracking that. The events tab is the tab where you're going to see all those timeline of activities in here. So instead of communicating with someone on your team and saying, hey, Ricardo, what's going on with 123 Main Street? You come in here and you can see that Ricardo just got done with his task, and Philip went in here and he actually saw the task completed in history. So this is a way that you can communicate without physically speaking. You don't need a chat. You don't need a text messaging system. You don't need an email system back and forth. Timothy can simply log in and see whether the activity has been completed or not. If it has been completed, he can see when. Pretty simple. And he can run a report on it. Brilliant. Leads. Leads are going to be people interested in buying a property. Maybe they're people interested in selling a property. It depends on what your project is, what those leads are. A lot of people ask me, what is a lead on a tenant assignment? These are spaces that we're touring. So when you create a new lead, it can be linked to anything. It can be linked to a company. It can be linked to a contact. It can be linked to a property. It can be linked to a space. So if we wanted to link this to a space, you can either type in that search field there, or we can say select space. And now I can add in here space 101. The size of the space is 14,250. Any amount or more details in here, the better it is. And then you can see these statuses on these spaces. And if I hit this little magic button on the right-hand side, it actually allows me to change these here. So we're going to put in this one, this is going to be, this one's touring. So we're actually touring this space here. So now we can see that we're touring this space. So we know what spaces we're touring. So we take our long list, create our short list. We tie this in with a transaction tour book that we have inside of the Navigator program. And we can see every space we've toured for this client, what they like, what they haven't liked, the ratings on the tour, and we can even track the owner response and our responses back and forth in a matrix. It's super cool. If you want to link other folks to the record, so we have the ability to link this information. So if we have an attorney, an architect, or anybody else, anything you want to link back to this project, just create a description in here. We're going to link this back to, I don't know if Jeff's actually in my database. I think he's just a user. Let's see what other contacts we have in here. So we're going to put in here Bob Jones. And we're going to say lead architect. Lead architect. Perfect. And we're going to hit save. So now we have him as a lead architect on here. So you can link many things inside of here. And again, you can adjust your columns underneath the column section. Web links. I don't really use too much web link stuff on projects, or actually don't use them at all, but web links are really cool for contacts, companies, dashboard, contacts, companies, and properties. Web links are super cool. So you'll have to come watch another video or just simply email me and ask me a little bit more about web links. Attachments, these are great. Everybody asks me, do you have a charge for attachments? No. So total attachments cannot exceed 40 megabytes. So 40 megabytes is a lot. There's websites that are free that can shrink some of your files down without zipping them. But put in the description, listing agreement, letter of intent, anything else, and you can put in here their type. It's a business card, legal invoice, this way you have your information in here. Now, I have been talking about this until I'm blue in the face, so Jeff's going to know what I'm talking about, and that is permissions. So if you have a commission agreement here and you don't want someone on your team to see that commission agreement, you can just come over here and make that private. So you drag and drop your commission agreement or anything else that you want on there. Maybe you are the admin on the account and you don't want the other agents to see the information on there or any of the due diligence information or whatever that would be. You can drag and drop those files, and now you have all your files inside of here that are quickly accessible to you. And if you make them team everybody, then they're available to the whole company that's logged into RealNex. Or if you put it to a team like Team Office or whatever teams you have, it would be available for those folks as well. But you can simply just go ahead and drag and drop any of those files in here. So here's a report quote we have. We'll pretend that's an LOI, and now we have our LOI in there. And now you have these documents, and you can pull these documents up on the web. You can pull these documents up on your iPad or Android, and now we can keep track of that. Any notes? Maybe you want to keep a current situation. Notes are great for current situations. Should be like notes dash current situations. Maybe you just want to put in the current situation of the building. Matt would like an elbow, and because he doesn't like this or that. I don't think anybody likes an elbow, but still. Now, Philip, I'm not talking about my elbow, but I am talking about a elbow. Funny joke, but maybe you guys are laughing. Okay. So the next thing is deal room. So what's a deal room? Deal room means nothing for tenant rep typically, but a deal room is really great for any deal that you have that you want to share documentation with a client and you want it secure. Confidentiality agreement, electronically signaturized, and you can track who's logged in. And more importantly, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Who hasn't logged in? Okay, I was trying to get Jeff to say his favorite thing. Jeff always says, "Who hasn't logged in, Matt?"
I would say that the tenant rep, you could keep your due diligence information there about the space as well, and in negotiation. But I think that's probably better done in transaction manager. So you're right, you wouldn't typically use it here, but you could.
But if you have a deal for sale, right, or you have a deal for lease, and you wanted to have any of that information downloadable for the client, or you went to Vegas and you want someone to download the information, the deal room is a fantastic way to do that. So remember, this example is about tenant rep, but you're going to use this for sale, for lease. It's the same principle for that. You can create a new deal room right from here, or you can link to an existing deal room and pick one of the available deal rooms. And the cool thing about it is you can see who logged in to download the material or who hasn't right in here. So this is a great way to keep track of that. And then
there's actually a question coming in right now, Matt, about this collaboration. I think, Danielle, thanks for the question. To share the deal with a client, the best practice is to use the transaction manager, and that's a collaborative environment with a web app and a phone app and a web portal for your client to come into and to evaluate rate spaces. And actually, when they come on tour, use their mobile phone for note taking and rating, and even as Matt talked about, to make bids or to negotiate the space. So we'll show that in a future tenant rep session.
Yeah, so that's incredible. I was actually talking to there's a project management company that moved into our building. I was talking to one of the ladies that came in really early. I'm like, nobody comes in. What do you do? And she was project management. And I was talking to her about our tour book app. When they toured the space, they didn't have anything like that. And when I talked to her how the tenant reps that we work with now are doing that, and she was blown away. She's like, that would have been really neat. The experience would have been much different for them when they were touring the space. So remember, you have all these different types. So whether it's for sale, for lease, or any other types that you keep track of, you're going to be able to keep track of that information. Now, I also mentioned reports. So one of the things that people always ask is, what can it do for me once they put this information in? Or I have it inside of Smart Sheets or something like this. How is it going to benefit me? A couple things. One is it's going to benefit you because you can create a list of all your deals that are going on. Another benefit is going to be a commission report. Another benefit that I showed to a client that's been using this program for quite some time but never got into projects was blown away by the leads report, that you can see these leads in here and you were able to see them in a nice little funnel. So they were able to see everything that's going on lead wise, and they were like, holy cow, I had no clue this was in there. And sometimes that's the idea of these, well, that's all the time about these webinars. So here's your active leads, you have 18 of them, and here's all your statuses of your leads. Now if we had a poll and I asked Stan the man, Stan, when you sell a building, well, Stan's the man, so he might have like 10 people buy. But if I ask Stan the man, Stan, how many people buy a building? Or how many people lease your space? It's typically one person or one company. If I have 18 active leads, Jeff, how many people do I have to prospect off of?
You got 17 left. And
yeah.
Probably can do another deal with the one that you just did the deal with.
Exactly. And we're going to show you how to do that. But these reportings are great. Commission reports. Where are your agents at commission-wise? One of them just bought a new Lamborghini, but can she pay for it? I don't know. Let's find out. So we can run a nice little commission report, and this will even show weighted amount. You can do it by team, active, lost, won. How many deals did we list but didn't sell? And why didn't we sell them? And this is going to give you a little insight on some of that. So again, I'm only choosing one project, so it's only going to show one listing, but it's a great way to be able to see your commissions in there as well. And then, target close dates. And then more important than anything is your client reporting. Now, during COVID and a little bit after COVID, if you listed anything, it's pretty easy. You had a buyer, you had 15 buyers, you had 58 buyers. Now you don't. So when you list a property, the goal is to get a listing, right, or get an assignment. But now you're not always going to come through on that. This is going to help you for your landlord brokers that are on this call and for your clients that are selling. So here's 62 of them. Now I picked a bad example here because that status is none. And I'm not sure why it's doing that, but it shouldn't do that. But what it would do is it shows in here like, hey, Matt, this is Johnny. I wanted to reach out if you're leasing the 50,000 square feet. This is great. So now I can send this to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, and I don't know what all these are. These are for smart people. But that's cool. And then you can pick your date range. So if you want to give it to a client every 30 days, no problem. If you don't want to show the notes, no problem. You just hide the notes. So just say, here's my activity. You got to trust me. This is what I'm doing. But calling a client and saying, hey, look, I made 50 phone calls for you. Back in the day, used to work, Jim. I don't know if it works anymore. So it's going to be able to help you out with the reporting. And then with those leads, we've added in a new functionality that if you haven't taken advantage of, go watch our webinar on magical marketing or one of those fancy words that Jeff came up with. He's great at those catchphrases, but we did one with real campaigns, and you'll notice there's a real campaigns button in here. And what this allows you to do is if you have a price reduction in a property, or the rate has changed, or you have new available square footage, if this is a landlord assignment and now a new lease just came available, and you want to email everybody in your lead list, you can simply hit real campaigns. Okay, so we're going to email those 8 contacts here, and now I can email those 8 contacts. This is going to pull them up for me automatically and open up the real campaigns. And now I can email those 8 contacts and let them know that there's, using one of our templates or a pre-designed template, that there is a price reduction in the market or a new available space, something to that effect, and we can track their opens, clicks, opt-outs, and then call the ones that were most interested. And that just happened to me recently where a client wasn't using projects and they said, I have no interest in using projects. And I showed the team this, and he said, holy cow, this is going to change the way we do business. And I said, so you want to use projects? And they said, of course we do. This is insane. And it's really easy. And if any of the statuses on these leads change, we made it so simplistic for you that you simply go over and click edit off. So it turns edit on. And now you can change the status of any of your leads without ever opening the record up. Now the next question that I get is they go, Matt, this is great. I love it. I think it's cool. But how do I track things like sign calls? Well, you have to go in and click 64 places. I'm just joking. We're not like other systems. You get a sign call for 123 Anywhere. You right click on 123 Anywhere and you can say add history. Now you can put in here sign call like I have done before. And it's a phone call. And then you can put in here, Matthew's looking for 250 square feet, even though my property says nothing under 50,000 square feet. We'll give him a call next week. He hasn't filled out the qualification form or whatever we call that format, blah, 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 blah. No problem. You can just do something like that, call it a sign call. What if you're on the call and the client turns into a possible lead, Mike? You come over here and see where it says link to. What I want you to do is I want you to come over here and say new contact. You can create a new contact off a history window. It's in magical. So Matthew Smith, 555. Oh, if you haven't seen this yet, look at that, auto format. Ding, 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 ding. This is incredible. Jim, I hope you're happy because I'm going to come see you soon, or at least that's the expectation. So now we can go here and we're going to create that new contact, and I'm not going to clutter my system up with a bunch of demo stuff, but you can do that, and you can even use statuses in here. So like statuses, just like tire kicker or whatever you want to call them, that's up to you. But it's a great way to keep track of your sign calls that are on your buildings. If there's a follow-up, have someone else follow up for them. That's fantastic on your team. And again, now you can keep track of all your sign calls. If that person is interested in multiple projects, you can type in multiple projects. Maybe they're interested in King's Jewelry as well. Maybe they're also in Balboa. So you can attach that to multiple assignments. So that one history gets linked to multiple assignments. So not only are you getting the credit for that one sign call on that one property, but you're getting on 2 more properties because you're creating that activity for a sign call. So you landlord brokers, any brokers that have listings for sale, remember, it's not a guarantee you're going to lease that space or list that property. So all the activity that you've given to that owner of the building is going to be important when that renewal comes up. And how are you going to know that renewal date? Because you're going to see that listing date in here, or you're going to see listing expiration date that's going to be in here based upon those filters that you may have. So I'm going to go in here and just select my default pipeline. And in my default pipeline, I'm going to have in here expected date modified, record owner and stuff. Maybe you have in here your listing expiration right here, just like I do. Let's sort by listing expiration. So we're on top of our listing expiration before our listing expires, not 3 days before Kimberly. Now we know Kimberly does great and Paul does fantastic. I'm just picking on your names as we see. Now, if we did sell a property, what we're going to do is we're going to take that property and if you're using our other program that we partnered up with Delius, there's some really cool things. We'll talk to you about how it is. If you're a team of 5 or more and you want a presentation of that, email me and I'll set you up with your rep in your region or myself. But you're going to take this, you're going to go active and you're going to turn it into 1. When you do, it'll remove it off your active deals. Okay, so hit 1. It's going to remove it off your active deals. It doesn't delete it. It stays there forever. You want it there, I promise. Okay. Then you're going to come over here and you're going to click lead. From here, you're going to hit this magical button. It should say magic. You're going to hit linked, contacts, companies, property spaces. Okay. You're going to click companies or contacts. Also, if you're on a team, see how mine says private, 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 private. This is my listing. Paul went ahead and added a lead to my listing. I can't see it. He kept it private. That's great. We work in a collaborative environment. However, he's going to be guarded. He's going to keep his stuff close to his chest. No problem. I can't even tell it's his. I just guessed. Now I'm going to say linked contacts. And what it does is it pulls all my contacts up that were leads on the property I just sold. Now I can put them into a group and I can say add to group 123 Main Street qualified leads. And now I can go down and I can call them and let them know that I'm working on trying to find them new property and just hang tight, see if I can get them a signed buyer rep agreement and represent them for the buy side. And then I can come over to my property side that's been preloaded with RX data and I can pull up a radius map. I know I'm going a little bit farther, but pull up a radius map of a property like I just sold. And let's pull up a radius of all the properties that are like that in an area. Once we find that ownership information, we're going to say link contacts companies, whatever they're linked to, and we're going to email them and say we just sold a property like yours in the area. And then we're going to call them and we're going to say this to the owner. Let's find one with an owner here. Larry, hey, it's Matt and Caitlin. Wanted to reach out to you, and it should have clicked here. There you go. Larry, it's Matt and Caitlin. Wanted to reach out to you. We sold a property similar like yours in the area. I wanted to see if you're interested in discussing some offers we may have. I have 4 folks that are interested in still making a strong offer. 3 might be still interested in. They're a little bummed out they didn't get the last property. However, that could be possibly 7 people that are looking to make an offer. Can we meet either Tuesday or Thursday of next week around 3 o'clock? What works best for you, Tuesday or Thursday? That's a hell of a listing pitch. So if you're not using projects, I want to see you start using projects. If you need help, we are here. You have somebody in the West Coast, East Coast, and Central to reach out to. My email is msmith at realnex.com. You'll see me on Twitter and LinkedIn. We also have a central rep and a Eastern rep. We're here to support you. We're putting these videos up on LinkedIn or YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm so used to LinkedIn. We'll put them up on YouTube. Jeff will send them out to you. We're here to help you succeed. Jeff, what questions do we have?
There are several. Let's see. On the commission tracking, you sort of talked about it. We do not go deep into commission collection. We do commission forecasting. So you saw where Matt had it. We project out commissions and splits in-house. We don't do the tiered splits. We don't do collection. We don't do invoicing. We do have an integration with Delius, which does all of that. So if you're interested in commission management and back office functionality, simply from projects, you click a button, all of your pipeline information flows in, and you can track it. You can track it right out of the box and get it through the closing. The other question is, let's see, Matt, if you could, it's a little bit a stretch, but into deal rooms and just show how deal rooms log the activity if people are downloading documents and what they've downloaded and when. So you see deal activity.
Yes, and one thing I forgot too, and I'm so sorry, Mr. Evans. Whenever you create an event that is followed up, not only will show in your Outlook, it'll also show in your dashboard. So this is where you follow up with all your activity. Past is past, future is future. I recommend future is 2 days. It's always the best. You don't want things too far in advance. Types is phone call, email, or activity. Shown is mine or participant. That means you can see everybody's on your team or just yours. And then filters, how you can filter them out. Projects, if they're listed to a project, you'll see the project on there. I'll
Matt,
go more in depth.
Actually, before you go to the deal room, why don't you stick here for a second, because there was another question about how do you log your calls and how do they show up on reports. So if you're smiling and dialing, you simply click that first one. It's a phone call. It's an event that you had scheduled for today. You make the call, you link it to a project, and it's in your client report.
Yeah, so right here, you're going to see the project, and you just go link it to a project or multiple projects, right? If the call is pertaining to 3 listings and that client can purchase all 3 listings or lease all 3 buildings, you can tie it to as many projects as you want, and then you get credit for all 3 on that report. So yes, that's fantastic. And then all your activities in your timeline that you've created, and then all the follow-up activities, all going to be in your dashboard. Now, I recommend using your dashboard over your calendar. That's personal preference. Some like coffee, some like tea. If you like the calendar, you're more productive, use the calendar. I'll show you why I'm more productive in the dashboard, because what I can do is I can come over here and select my events for the day. I can use my magical button called linked, and I say link contacts, companies, or whatever they're linked to. I hit proceed, and it's going to put it into my game changer. This will literally change the game when doing follow-ups. Now what it did is I have my 10 phone calls. I click on events, and now I can knock out each one of my phone calls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no system in the world that's going to be quicker than this. I don't care what it is. Nothing's going to be faster than this. If you don't believe me, I'll race you for a steak dinner. If I win, you buy me a steak dinner. I'll lose. So you're buying me a steak dinner. The deal room. So if you want to go in and see how that deal room works, it's fantastic. You can store up to 10 gigabytes of files in the total document storage. Shouldn't take you that much storage. You can see who logged in, when they last logged in. You can add participants in here. So if you want to add participants in here, and you can bring them in from the integration from the CRM. You would upload a confidentiality agreement. You also have a auto doc update email, which I'll talk to you about here in a quick second. I'm going to make it fast. Click deal room links, CA link, and that's what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to copy that and add it to your emails. That's the one you want because it will take them to a landing page with your logo, your company address, and they can create a RealNex account for free, pretty simple, and they will sign off on a CA and access your documents. Those documents can be in folders and in subfolders with security levels, basic, all the way up to like 7th or something. I think we had like 7 security levels, tons of security levels, way more than you need. You can go ahead and you can drag and drop these files. So if you have all these files on your desktop, boom, drag and drop them. It'll bring the files, upload the photos, upload the documents, everything, and you can even mass set securities. So you can add a security level to the folder, or you can add a security level to the documents, or both. And it's very simplistic. There's some videos in there on it. If you need us to walk you through it, we're here to help you, and I have some great videos on that as well. That ties right into your projects, and you can see a nice little dashboard. I have no participants in the last 14 days, so I need to send out another email. But that'll give you everything you need to do so. To create those timelines that I've created before, this is a great way to look at them. If you go to Tools Timelines, you'll see a little eye right here. If you have epilepsy or something that you're sensitive to light, just don't look at the screen when you click this, but if you click this here, any one of these, it'll actually start to build a timeline for you or with you using our automated Guide Me system. So these can be all, I have one here for Smiles and Dials, National Tenant Rep Corporation, Tenant Rep, post-transaction. Here's ones for post-lease, first year, second year, third year. Then it's gonna remind me to set a meeting up for the renewal option, and then maybe look for some new space in year 5. Hopefully this was helpful for everybody. Let's see if there's any other questions. I'm not sure whether Jeff had an important call there or not. MB limits in the deal room, 10 gigabytes. If it's not enough, let us know, but we upgraded it to 10 gigabytes for the deal rooms, and it's been quite enough. Yeah, you should have plenty. Unless you're uploading stuff, you shouldn't. We don't want to be your Dropbox. It's not made for your videos of your kids. It's made for documentation sharing, but if you need more space, let us know. Also, as always, there's an update, not an update, but a feature request here. If you do have an idea, let us know. Not all features are put in there, but it is important that we do hear from you. So with that said, if you need something that we don't have in here, just let us know.
Great stuff, Matt. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone for joining us today. Look forward to the future sessions. We have the ongoing series, so look for your inbox for invitation to the upcoming sessions, and we'll keep going to talk about tenant rep, leasing, investment sales, different use cases and applications. And also, as Matt said, we just rolled out this global phone number formatting, which is awesome. A number of new features have come out. We'll be updating you on all of those in the coming days as well. So thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Happy 4th of July, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.